Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Praises to Allah, the merciful, the beneficent, by whose grace and blessings have enabled us to go through this academic session for the whole semester. Our assignment is to make a report based on activity related to sustainable development goals to meet the requirements of PAD350, Fundamentals of Sustainable Development course. Prior to our presentation, we would like to record our sincere gratitude and appreciation to our honorable lecturer, Cik Nur Zulaiha binti Zainal, for her guidance and full commitment to deliver her lecture diligently until the end of our course. She has been relentlessly sharing her knowledge on this subject and has offered us valuable guidance throughout the learning process. Alhamdulillah, we are able to finish our video presentation and we would like to congratulate each other, each of the members, for delivery of dedication and full commitment. Let us go to content number 1, introduction of the selected goal SDG. SDG is an acronym for Sustainable Development Goal. Sustainable development, according to Brundtland 1987, is development that meets the present without compromising the needs of future generations to meet their own needs. SDG have 17 goals consisting of number 1, no poverty, number 2, zero hunger, number 3, good health and well-being, number 4, quality education, number 5, gender equality, number 6, clean water and sanitation, number 7, affordable and clean energy, number 8, decent work and economic growth, number 9, industry, innovation and infrastructure, number 10, reduced inequalities, number 11, sustainable cities and communities, number 12, responsible consumption and production, number 13, climate action, number 14, life below water, number 15, life on land, number 16, peace, justice and strong institutions, and finally, partnerships for the goals. Slide is on history of sustainable development. There are 3 components of sustainability, which are environmental sustainability, secondly, social sustainability, and lastly, economic sustainability. Our next slide is on the roadmap agenda of 17 SDG 2030. The Sustainable Development Goals built on decades of work by countries and the United Nations, including the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs. In June 1992, the Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, more than 178 countries adopted Agenda 21, a comprehensive plan of action to build a global partnership for sustainable development to improve human lives and protect the environment. The members of UN during its Millennium Summit in September 2000, where then unanimously adopted the Millennium Declaration at United Nations headquarters in New York. 8 Millennium Development Goals (MDGs) were approved as guidelines to reduce extreme poverty in 2015. Next, in January 2015, the General Assembly began the negotiation process on the post-2015 development agenda. The process culminated in the subsequent adoption of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development with 17 SDGs at its core at the United Nations Sustainable Development Summit in September 2015. 2015 was a landmark year for multilateralism and international policy shaping with the adoption of several major agreements. The UN chose through a vote of 17 objectives applicable universally to transform the world and promoted them as global goals of sustainable development for the period of 2015 to 2030, thus replacing the 8 Millennium MDGs. The SDGs are actually a commitment that seeks to address the most urgent problems of the world, and they are all interrelated. They are a universal call to action to respond sustainably against the threat of climate change, having a positive impact in way we manage our fragile natural resources, promoting peace and inclusive societies, to reduce inequalities and contribute the prosperity of economies. Since the beginning of SDGs, they have aimed at the so-called 2030 agenda, which has provided a model for shared prosperity in a sustainable world, in which all people can lead productive lives, living peacefully and on healthy planet.
Next slide, 1.2 Sustainable Development Goal 8. Decent work and economic growth. Aim to promote sustainable, inclusive and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. 1.3 Sustainable Development Goal 13. Climate action. Aim to take urgent action to combat climate change and its impact. Next slide, Bank Negara Malaysia 2.0 Description of the program. Our report based on Bank Negara Malaysia (BNM) was selected as government body that regulate the financial institution to achieve SDG number 8 and 13. BNM strive with mandate to preserve monetary and financial stability, avoid major economic and societal impacts, reap green growth opportunity, and targeting net zero GHG emission by 2050. Next, BNM has made Malaysia financial system climate resilient. BNM's approach and strategy for managing climate risk began in 2019 and has a strong foundation in the finance industry. BNM will include climate-related risks in regulatory and supervisory expectations, as well as microeconomic and financial stability assessment in 2020.
When and where the activity was conducted, international forum internal activities. Throughout 2020, BNM made close engagement with financial industry by embedding climate risk consideration and expanding mainstream financial products and services that support low carbon and climate resilient activities and investment. In diagram 10, show key feature of BNM pledge, which is have 6 areas and 14 commitment. Areas 1, financial stability, monitoring and micro supervision, and the commitment is advanced preparation for an industry-wide climate change stress test. Incorporate climate-related risks as part of formal supervisory assessment. Develop reference guide on risk management and scenario analysis for financial institutions. Implement structured climate-related technical training, regulatory and supervisory staff. Taxonomy. Ensure consistent and credible implementation of CCP. Data gaps. Leads and provide dedicated resources for JC3 subcommittee bridging data gaps to meet critical data needs of industry to manage climate and environmental related risks and structure green solution. Capacity buildings and awareness. Ramp up engagement and capacity building effort through JC3. Expand suite of technical programs developed under JC3 and support NGFS capacity building initiative. Disclosure. Improve climate-related risk financial disclosure. Develop a guide for adopt climate-related disclosure. Continue to disclose on climate initiative in BNM annual report. Portfolio management. Strengthen internal frameworks for integrating sustainability factor in on portfolio management and assess how climate change would fit into monetary policy. In diagram 1 is workstream in the bank to manage climate risk. Workstream 1, supervisory and microprudential. Workstream 2, macroprudential and surveillance. Workstream 3, central bank investment and monetary policy operation. Workstream 4, Central Bank Operation and Management. Workstream 5, Capacity Building and Engagement. Workstream 6, Monetary Policy. And Workstream 7 is Communication. 2. Number of attendees participant. Number 1. Federal and local government agency. Number 2. All banking and financial player. Number 3. Institutional investor. Number 4. Market intermediaries. 3. Goal to achieve. Number 1. Greener financial system. Number 2. Climate resilient economy and financial sector. 4. Method of implementation. In diagram 2 show the key thrust of the bank climate strategy. Number 1. Starting with ourselves. 2. Engagement and capacity building. Number 3. Integrating climate risk within microeconomic and financial stability assessment. Number 4. Strengthening regulatory and supervisory expectation for managing climate risk. Number 5. Creating an enabling environment for green financing and investment. Expected outcomes. A resilient and vibrant financial sector to support an orderly transition to a greener economy. Number 1. Financial system resilience against climate and environmental related risks. Number 2. Financial system as enabler and facilitator for an orderly transition to a low carbon economy. And number 3. Leading by example through sustainable operation of the bank.
Benefits contribution of the program to sustainable development. Finance has helped Malaysian economy. Financial services should assist people and businesses build money, pay bills, own houses, grow their enterprise, manage financial risk and accidents, create high-quality jobs and other economic outcomes. Malaysia Financial Growth promotes SDG 8. The non-binding banking standards emphasize cross-sectoral and multi-stakeholder involvement, regional taxonomy, technical capacity, ASEAN Green Map, and data gathering system are priorities. The bank joined the steering committee of the central banks and supervisor network for greening the financial systems (NGFS) outside of the area to show its support. The NGFS led policymakers discuss best practices and finance sector climate risk management. The network's research and policymaker resources promote green financial services. Its diversity encourage a global solution. Reforms over decades create Malaysia financial systems. Financial Sector Master Plan 2001 and Sector Plan Finance 2011 until 2020 allow the financial sector to adapt and embrace new opportunities, promoting Malaysia economic growth. Banking formed much of the major core. Malaysia economy and pandemic response are stronger. Modernizing financial sector regulation helps the bank respond to monetary and financial stability issues in an increasingly linked financial systems. BNM integrated climate risk variable into important services as seen in diagram 2A and 2B, supervisory, prudential, macroeconomic, and financial stability evaluation. BNM issue many climate policy for our regulators. BNM welcomes financial firms, increase focus on climate risk. Banks help customers go green. Suggestion for improvement of the program. First, BNM should take a phased approach to climate risk and lay the groundwork for financial industry climate risk management. Second, as a regulator, BNM should integrate climate-related risk concern into its regulatory, supervisory, macroeconomic, and financial stability analysis. Third, BNM is encouraged by the industry focus on climate-related risk areas. BNM integrated climate risk consideration into its basic functions and published significant climate-related policy to advise its regulators. And lastly, through climate strategy, BNM is improving its programs and ensuring sustainable operations. It comprises adopting socially responsible investment technique, including investing operation, sustainable currency operations, and lowering daily carbon impact.
That our report based on activity related to sustainable development goals. That SDG mission is to protect the environment for the future generations with reducing the risk of catastrophic climate events. Bank Negara Malaysia pursue the objectives to achieve greener financial system and net zero CHG emissions by 2050 to protect the environment for our future generations, and will also bring about wider economic prosperity and requires support from the private and public participation. Bank Negara Malaysia is consistent with sustainable practices in its operations, measures taken to adopt socially responsible investment strategies in its investment operations, sustainable currency operations, and reducing carbon footprint in day-to-day activities. Bank Negara Malaysia will reflect climate risk developments and their impacts more prominently in its stress tests for the financial sector, ongoing surveillance of risks to financial stability, and macroeconomic forecasting models. We would like to quote the Governor of Bank Negara, Tan Sri Nur Syamsiah binti Muhammad Yunus. She said, the world is clearly moving more aggressively on building climate resilience in what is being described as the decisive decade for climate action. Individual, countries and firms cannot stand still, not just because climate change has severe implications at a domestic level, more so for developing countries, but because global climate actions affect us directly through economic and financial linkages. How we respond is crucial, according to her.